Welcome back everybody, and if you're new to the channel, welcome to the channel. Hopefully you like this video, and if you do, please hit like and subscribe. Got a lot of content on the channel, not just for this one, but fishing and forward driving. But today we're looking at freshwater fishing stuff, because in our Facebook group we're going to be looking at a lot of freshwater trips coming up, so I thought it was a good chance to talk about some of the gear that you might want and need to have to be able to be successful when we go freshwater fishing. Just a quick little heads up on the fish that we target. So there'll be a couple of images you can see that we'll talk about. So you got your rainbow trout, brown trout, and your redfin. So those are the three main ones you're looking at. Rainbow trout, they populate a lot of the areas with those, so they keep fisheries keep stocking those up. Brown trouts can get rather large and as not as common. Redfins are actually classed as a pest actually. I actually didn't know that, and I saw that on on the fisheries website. They actually encourage you not to put it back, and so that it's actually better eating than actual rainbow trout apparently. I haven't tasted it, so I can't say one way or the other, but they don't want you to put it back, and if anything they want you to humanely kill it and dispose of it properly. But that bit out of the way. So rainbow trout itself, they like running water, sometimes faster better, and they lay in those sections of fast water that you wouldn't expect them to be in. They also like to travel upstream into the current, and when they get hooked they run fast, and they will provide a bit of aerobatics for you as well. But they do have very soft mouths, so you've got to have a little bit of patience and work them a little bit, and not just reel them in like crazy, because it's quite easy to tear the hook straight out of their mouths. So we want to avoid that if wherever possible. And before I go a bit further, I'll put a link in the description, because you do need a license to freshwater fish, so there'll be a link for that for you guys to get your license if you want to go freshwater fishing, because that's required for anything in WA. For all freshwater fish, you can use lures, soft plastics and baits, and you can target them from shore or boat or kayak. There's no limitations. There's multiple ways of catching them, although depending on the time of the year and the area that you're in, some methods work better than others. For the redfins, a little bit different from rainbow trout as to where they are and how to catch them, and a little bit more about them. They like targeting, like you should be looking at deep diving style minnow lures, and one that floats at rest. So use small minnows, and they are a little bit more concerned with the lure colour itself. They really like orange and red on their belly. They can even hit sizes up to 12 centimetres, so they're not afraid to target big lures either. So same with soft plastics. They can even hit soft plastic up to 6 inches, which is just crazy to think about. But yeah, they will go there. And redfin will be caught in the same area time and time again, unlike trout, which move around a lot. Now, switching back to the video, we will just quickly start discussing some of the equipment now. So first up is your rods. So you want to look at, I've got two different rods here, but they're split apart. So all my rods are, I've got Daiwa rods. This is their Team Black, so I've got two different versions. So you want a small 6 to 7 foot rod, graphite, carbon fibre, lightweight. It's the best way to go. So I've got my 6 foot and my 7 foot. My 6 foot is this one, and it has a line of about 2 to 6 kilos, and my other one's a line of 3 to 6 kilos. So any small rod like that runs on anything from 1 to 2 kilos upwards to a little bit will do just fine for that type of work. For your reels, I've got one of my smallest. This is my smallest one. This is my little 3000, my Stealth 3000 reel that I use for this sort of stuff. So a little reel like this will work you just fine. Even smaller, this is it's the 3000, but yeah, you can go for 2500 or smaller, will work just fine. For the line that you put on, you can use braid or mono, whatever your choice is preferred. But if you're going for braid, anything from 4 to 10 pounds works fine, because the thickness of the line diameter doesn't change that much between those ranges. I've got a 8 pound braid on there, so I've gone halfway between. And on your leaders, looking at fluorocarbon leader, about 10 pounds, a good way to go. So just slightly heavier than your main braid line's good for the fluorocarbons, so they can't see it. Alright, so when we go talking about their food groups, so trout's main food groups are aquatic insects, terrestrial insects, minnows and crustaceans. So the idea is we try and mimic those natural foods groups that they like to target. And for trout, crustaceans basically means like baby marron and stuff like that. So soft plastics and jigs that look like that work well. So for example, this we packed from Whitey's Custom Stuff. He did up for us some time ago that I've been using for different purposes. So these are just your standard curly tails, but your crustaceans you're looking at, oops, here we have some different versions of various types of imitation crustaceans. If I can get these out, come out, nice little one there with clear. Then we have a nice little green one, this one's been tagged up. So you got some options there for some soft plastics that represent crustaceans and stuff. So, and this one's actually got its jig head attached to it. So the next important part with the lures is the type of jig head that you put on it. And this one actually has a spoon silver flashy attacher, which is good because the trout are actually attracted to flashy bright objects. I have ones that are also gold as well, so sometimes they work as well as these, as well as silver. Adding a gold on there and attaching that to your line sometimes works. Jig heads can be any, like these ones are jig heads where you've got the same size hook but different weights. I'm trying to get it out. So obviously that's heavier than this one. It's designed so that if you wanted to get it a little bit further you can, but the hook size stays the same. So just your idea is you want to try and match your lure or your soft plastic to what bait is in the area and what they like to target most, and then accommodate that. They will go for imitations of minnows and stuff, so that's why sometimes these are basically minnows. Orange is a great colour. They seem to really like orange and red. Redfins particularly really like orange and red bottoms. So having stuff that is like that is great. Like for example, where's my one that's got red on it? This one's got yellow. One of these ones got really red on its back, on the bottom of it. Trout like stuff that actually looks like trout as well. So having imitations as well work kind of nicely for them. Not to mention, if we're looking at lures, we want to range our size from anything from 2 to 5 centimeters, but you can go bigger, as they're not, as I mentioned, they do, sorry I dropped one, they can hit bigger stuff, so don't be afraid to throw out some other options. But the idea is to be versatile. They're not put off by, like this is a fast attach, allows you to quickly take this off and put a different lure on, so don't be afraid to change up your options. This one even has a little sinker inside it that moves from side to side. It makes a little clicking noise. So don't be afraid to use a little clips. Go for the smaller ones. So this is 2 to 3 kilo line, and you want small ones, so smaller better. Same with sinkers. Any sinkers you're putting on, going smaller is better, and on running, because anything that feels unnatural, they're more than likely going to drop than take. So something to keep in mind. Now, trout can also be caught at night time with lures, surface lures particularly. and bait. And bait being, and I'll put some images at the end if you're not sure. They like witchetty grubs and mud eyes are real big favourites of both brown trout and rainbow trout. They love them. I haven't found where you can buy those live, and there is imitation ones you can buy lures, but not here in Western Australia. You have to order them from eastern states. Unfortunately, same with the there are flashy spinners, which I'll include some images of below, that are sold, but they're not sold here in Western Australia. You have to order them in the eastern states, which is kind of disappointing when you know that trout really love them, but can't order them. But I'll include the images because I might actually order one or two in myself. But yeah, you can actually get the witchetty grubs locally near the area. Same with because the witchetty grubs turn into moss, and the mud eyes, they turn into dragonflies. They can be found around lakes underneath rocks and stuff. So you can actually find them and use them if you need to help you catch them. So as I said, the size ranges, you're flexible, but you want ones that are small, floating, hard body. So ones that are got the lipstick diving ones, but floats, can make erratic movements. So when you're doing your casts and retrieves, you want to vary it up from both doing a fast retrieve mixed with twitches and jerks, and then maybe slow retrieve with more intentional jerks or more slicer jerks. It basically just have to, or twitches, so you just have to vary up your stuff to see what it works for them at that particular time, and then not be afraid to change up your options with your lures, because just in case they're not particularly attracted to something, you might want to move, because they can be a little bit fussy at times. So don't be afraid to try different ones out to see which one works better, and see which ones they seem to like. But at night time, you can get them. They're best fish for early morning and dusk time. During the night, baits work the best, so witchetty grubs are great, or surface lures that make a lot of noise and stuff like that. So these ones that you can retrieve fast and splash across the surface, they can still work at night time. I don't mind my little, I kind of like this, I use this mostly a lot, this shrimpy for salt water, but actually has eyes that glow in the dark. So I'm actually going to give this guy a try in freshwater as well. But he's been so successful for me for freshwater, saltwater stuff. I like that one. It's just a pity it's so light sometimes, but it's good one for lure fishing. Now with fishing for the lakes, it's best to try and move around and find structure. So anything that's got rocks, trees, or lots of weeds, any type of structure that's going to attract the fish, that's where you want to try and target your lure castings. In rivers and lakes where the trout might save their energy and hide behind rocks, or it's a bit slower, you want to cast so that your lure or your bait goes past that structure. They save their energy so they can come out, grab their food, and then go back in behind the structure. So think about where you're targeting. Always look at moving around and trying to find various areas to target. They like that colder water, so especially in the summer when it's warmer, they're going to move towards areas that are either shaded or cooler, or towards the middle of, say, a dam or a lake. They're going to focus there, but they're more likely going to be around structure than they are going to be in like a barren spot where there's nothing. They're not really going to hang around something like that. So look for weeded areas where rivers and streams flow into water bodies, banks are deeper, submerged riverbeds, all the rest of it. Now with lures, as we mentioned, colour is cool. Like bright colours sometimes are very attractive to trout, but there are also natural colours work well. So green, brown, olive, yellow all seem to be very popular. Anything that actually mimics the look of the trout itself as well is proven to be pretty good at attracting fish. And as I mentioned, you retrieve often fast with some slow twitches, steady twitches. You can vary up that routine until you find something that gets their attention and gets their results, and you just continue that. So that's pretty consistent there. And as I mentioned with the sinkers, we want to go for the smallest possible to get what you need to done. Do it on a runner so they don't feel it as much. And with your baits and your hooks, so we've got some hooks under here, so you just use the smallest ones that you can use possible for whatever the case may be. And if you can get a witchetty grub or a muddler on something like this, that'd be fantastic, and you can draw them up. But I'll show you some pictures towards the end so you can see what they sort of look like. So just some last minute hints and tips. Your big brown trouts, they're your predatory ones, so they're the ones you really want to target. And they will really come out for stuff, and you want to use what looks most natural to that environment that they're currently in. They can sometimes travel in schools, so you might be able to catch a few in the same spot, but they also can be very fussy. They can follow you lure and not touch it, and you sometimes just a change in colour or a change in the way you're retrieving can get them interested, so that's really important. Rainbows love bright, flashy lures, so something that looks completely unnatural can be really attractive for them. That's why, as I mentioned, there's those twisters metal twisting things that are very flashy, that look kind of not like very lifelike like a lot of these do, seem to attract them. Unfortunately, you have to order them in, and I'll include a picture of those as well. And as I mentioned, they do like the brighter the better, so pink and orange are two of their favourite colours, so remember that. They love structures, so like I mentioned, rocks, logs, trees, anything they can hide under, you want to target that sort of area. Pay attention to that sort of stuff. And the running water, as I said, look for those sections where they can hide behind and target fish as they come out. And just vary your routine up with your retrieve. And if with plastics, don't be afraid to use bigger ones, because sometimes they will eat stuff up to 6 inches, which is crazy when you think about this fact. This is 2.5. Eating something at 6 inches, I mean, this is not even close to 6 inches, and it looks huge. They'll still try and hit something like that, so don't be afraid to try a few different things to see what works, because it's all about trial and error with some of these sorts of things. Nighttime they can come out and target, and that's where you want to use wattle grubs if you can, or surface lures that make a lot of noise and stuff. That'll get their attention. You can get them, but as I said, it just depends on how it's going and a lot of conditions and factors. So hopefully this has have been somewhat helpful. Somewhat fishing for freshwater can be different depending upon the time date of the years, month of the years. They're less inclined to be active at certain times. They're more inclined to be active during winter after rains and stuff, but you can still get them all year round in big dams and lakes, and in certain rivers, but they do like that colder water, so that's why you got to think about where you want to target and stuff. So and it's best done, as I mentioned, early morning or late afternoon. Those are your best chances of getting fish. So hopefully that's been helpful. Hopefully give you some ideas about what to get, and make sure you've got ready for when you go out and do catch your own freshwater fish as well. So if any questions or comments, just pop it down. If you like what you heard, make sure you hit subscribe, and I'll catch you guys on the next video. Thank you very much for listening.